Hi, I'm Garrett, and I'm a real estate investor and a software engineer. I just got a property under contract, and I've been under contract a few different times for a duplex in Cleveland, but I hope that this one goes through. I'm going to bring you up to speed on why I think it's a good deal. I hope it's helpful for those who are maybe looking to get their first deal themselves. I'd like to connect with you. If you have any questions or comments about topics you'd like to learn about or share your experience, please drop them in the comments below. Let's get into it. I'm a software engineer by day, and I'm also a real estate investor looking to get started with multifamilies in Cleveland. So I live in Los Angeles, but Los Angeles is very expensive and it's a hard market to break into, especially if you're looking for cash flow right off the bat. And so I decided to make my first investment in Cleveland, first of all, because I lived there for 5 years and I'm experienced with the different neighborhoods, where to avoid and where's a good spot. But more importantly, I'm interested in the economic future of the city of Cleveland and the opportunity for growth. It's also a great place to find cash flow right off the bat because of its favorable rent to price ratio, which is much higher than higher cost of living cities like Los Angeles. So the property that I'm currently under contract for is a duplex on the west side of Cleveland, and it's an up and down unit with a basement. Each unit has 3 bedrooms and 1 bath, about 1,100 square feet for each unit. It's currently occupied and rented out for a total gross monthly rent of $2,300 a month. I'm looking at a purchase price right now of about $170. So the property actually started at $178 for the listing price. Then I put in an offer at $165 and the seller countered at $170. Interestingly enough, I was able to get the seller to agree to take care of any issues that would arise during the appraisal. So if there's a low appraisal, they've agreed within reason to take those repairs and bring it up to the appraisal amount. I may be able to get some further concessions on the price. As I mentioned, I'm starting off with tenants in place with $2,300 per month rent. How much of that's going to go towards expenses and how much cash flow is going to be left. So starting off with the mortgage and the principal and interest, that's going to come in at about $903. And then we've got the insurance, which is about $115 per month as well. And then we've got property taxes, which are about $200 per month. Vacancy, which I considered a 5% vacancy for these properties, of about $115 per month. And of course, we've got property management. Since I'll be in LA, it'll be nice to have a property manager to handle the day-to-day operations. And they take about 10% of rent per month. Plus they take, when there's tenant turnover and they find a new tenant, they take half of the month's rent. So I budgeted about $300 each month for those expenses. And then of course you've got capital expenses and maintenance factored in about $230 per month. Some months it may be more, some months it may be less. And so after all of that is calculated, I came up with a cash flow of $422 per month. That $422 a month is a 10% cash on cash return and or a cap rate of 8.9%, which I'm very comfortable with as a first property. Obviously in the future I'd like to do better and be more aggressive, but I think for this first property it makes sense to hit a base hit rather than hit a home run, just because I can be a little risk averse as I'm building experience. I'm also factoring in the experience that I gained from this and why I'm willing to take a less risky but less profitable deal than I would when I have more experience. And so I recently got the inspection report today, actually. There's a few items that we'll ask the sellers to address. And there's also a few items that I will probably take on myself, maybe as the first tenant moves out, to take care of some things that need to be fixed up. But overall, the property's in pretty good shape, just minor things here and there that need to be taken care of. So oftentimes in real estate, you have to imagine everything that can possibly go wrong and always have a contingency plan for what could happen. And for example, inspection surprises that could come up. You never know what might come up on this inspection report, and maybe your first offer is totally off the mark. Luckily for me, it was pretty close. We kind of knew what we were getting into, so I don't think that'll be an issue for me. Another issue could be underestimating rehab costs. While I would like the seller to take care of most of them, there are a few issues that I would like to take care of myself just to make sure that they're done well. I don't want to underestimate those rehab costs. Make sure to include a 10 to 15% buffer. You're always overestimating how much you'll need just in case something goes wrong or it's more expensive than it should be. Or maybe even they find a deeper issue when they dig deeper into the plumbing, for example. Another issue could be tenant issues or a shift in market demands. So you could have a bad tenant that maybe the sellers are trying to offload. So the way you can mitigate that is by looking at the rent rolls, investigating and having a conversation with the tenants if possible. Sometimes during the inspection you can get a feeler for how agreeable they are to their landlords. So for me, the next step is verifying the rent roll and then sending back a counteroffer to the sellers to negotiate what they'll be able to fix up. And so we've come up with a list of things that we'd like them to fix. And if they agree to that, then we're pretty much moving forward with this deal. After that point, we will have an appraisal and we'll remove contingencies. Of course, there'll also be a final walkthrough just one last time before the property changes hands and closing. I'll be sure to keep you updated on this property if it goes through or not. You still never know. So if you want to follow my journey as I invest in real estate, please subscribe and drop a comment. And if you have any questions about this deal or about real estate in general, just leave them in the comments. See you next time.